You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. HRN is food radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org. This episode of Pizza Quest is brought to you by Central Milling, hand-selected grain, expertly milled for passionate bakers. Central Milling is the farmer, the miller, and the baker working together to preserve American farmland for tomorrow while providing the highest quality flour and grains for the bakers of today. Dating back over 150 years, Central Milling is built on generations of knowledge, and they know that premium flour starts at the source. Employee-owned, Central Milling works directly with their farmers to sustainably grow grains that have exceptional flavor, nutrient content, color, and baking performance, which results in one of the largest selections of premium specialty flour and grains in the country. Hand-selected for the highest baking qualities, milled, cracked, or blended slowly to minimize heat generation, then bake-tested for performance. Learn more about Central Milling and their products at centralmilling.com. Welcome to Pizza Quest. I'm Peter Reinhardt, coming to you today from the Atlantic City Pizza and Pasta Northeast Expo, also the Artisan Baking Expo. They're kind of one expo in one. And I'm here with Oran Franco, who we all know as Franco. He's a one name brand, Franco from Prime-6. What do we call it? Prime-6 charcoal and
we're
fire
now we're just Prime-6.
Prime-6.
We started off as charcoal, but we're trying to do
That's right.
a lot more.
That's how we first knew you.
Yep.
Because you've got a unique charcoal and fire log product that I think the world needs to know about.
Absolutely.
Some of people who are listening might know you or recognize you from your appearance on Shark Tank. So we want
that's
to talk
us.
about
Season
that.
12. We were there. We managed to get Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary,
one of the real superstar investors of Shark
which has
Tank.
it's been great ever since, and we're excited and we're very fortunate to have him.
Well, Franco, tell us the whole Prime-6 story, and if you can, in a nutshell, bring everybody up to date on what it is, how it's growing, and then we'll go on where it's going from here.
Well, I think Prime-6 focuses on two core values. It's the one is sustainability, and the other is performance. And my background is food service, and there's been this notion that if you want to be more sustainable as a food service operator, you usually have to sacrifice something, either cost or the efficiency or the functionality of the product. And at Prime-6, we actually believe the opposite. We deliver a sustainable product that performs better and higher than the conventional charcoal or wood that you have. What we do is, whether it's the charcoal or the wood log is actually the charcoal before we carbonize it.
Right. So it's one product that gets turned into another product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we launched with the charcoal originally, and it wasn't until after Shark Tank where people started to approach us and ask us, can we use your charcoal in a chimney or in a pizza oven or in a fire pit? When we started thinking, because the answer generally is no, because the charcoal itself is flameless and it wouldn't deliver
they have
the same experience.
Different functions, right?
Exactly. The charcoal is meant to generate just high heat.
A lot of heat.
BTUs. It's smokeless. It's flameless. But if you need to sear a steak, it is the go-to product. The wood logs, we were basically sitting on those, not really utilizing and not understanding the market for it. And when we started to test the waters, our first concept or our first idea that came to mind was actually pizza. So pizza ovens. So what the logs actually are.
And that's the thing that differentiates you from any other kind of wood logs is these are not just logs and charcoal as we customarily know it.
No, they're not. And because our starting point is not actual chunks of wood. So our charcoal is basically lump. And our logs are basically logs of wood. There's only one ingredient in there. It's just wood. We don't use any binders or chemicals or glue. It's USDA certified as a bio-preferred product because we only have one ingredient, and that's hardwood sawdust. But
so
what we do,
so the wood itself is sawdust. It's not a wood like a chunk of wood. It's sawdust from wood.
Yeah, it's sawdust from wood. What we do is we collect hardwood sawdust from the first processing cycle. So when a mill wants to process wood to sell to other industries, whether it's for construction or furniture manufacturing, The loggers will go into the forest. They will log the woods out. You get a round trunk, and then the mill has to process that trunk into a rectangle shape that can be then processed into whatever kind of wood that the market requires.
Right.
What we do is we collect sawdust from that first processing cycle. So it's untreated, 100% natural. It's only hardwood. We take this sawdust and we compress it back into wood form. We don't use glues. We don't use binders. We have found that if you heat up the sawdust to a certain temperature and run it through a proprietary extrusion process, the natural oils and sugars and everything that's naturally in the wood at a certain temperature will actually bind it back into wood. And so the wood log that comes out on the other side of this process is, in our case, is just oak. It's a log of oak wood. Difference between our wood and Mother Nature's wood is that ours is about 3 times denser and is 100% unified throughout the product. So the density, the burn time, at whichever point, whichever box that you buy, whichever piece that you pick up, it's always going to be the same. So it's a very consistent product as opposed to natural wood.
But so the wood is compressed to where it's much more dense than a natural piece of the wood itself, the original wood that it came from. This log is much tighter.
Yeah, when wood grows in nature, there's little air pockets inside the log. So when you throw a log of wood into the fire and you get all those sparks that fly up, that's basically because of those air pockets. The gas from the burning and the air starts to condense in those air pockets and eventually will pop and create
little
that
explosions.
Our logs don't do that because there are no air pockets. We are 100% solid. And another difference from wood that you would get in like a cord of wood is the humidity. We have to dry our sawdust to about 5% humidity in order for the extrusion process to be possible. So when you buy a cord of wood, you get different size pieces, different densities, different BTUs, and different humidity levels, which influence or dictate basically the temperature and the performance in your oven, in your pizza oven. So small, low density piece of wood that may have high humidity will not function well in your oven.
Well, this kind of explains why when you buy a cord of hardwood, logs, you want to age it. You don't want to use it when it's young wood. You want to let it be aged wood. And a slower version of you've basically accelerated that aging process to get it down to what you say under 5% humidity.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of the wood that you buy is either like kiln dried or naturally dried. We dry the sawdust as a basic step for manufacturing the product. And the extrusion process, in turn, when it becomes charcoal, we don't use, the traditional charcoal kilns that are highly pollutive. We have a proprietary system that's almost more similar to a pressure cooker. And we harness the gases that the process creates, that the wood omits in the heating process.
Yeah.
We harness those gases to ignite them and basically heat up the oven right next to oven number 1. So oven number 1 will heat up number 2 will number 3 will heat up number 4,
so you're
and
kind
so
of
on.
recycling the gas. You're
Exactly.
repurposing it.
And
Wow.
we filter the little emissions that are left from that process. We also have a partnership with an amazing nonprofit called One Tree Planted, and we plant a tree for every box that we sell. And so we even offset, through that process, we offset the little emissions that the product does create.
Yeah.
And so from a sustainability standpoint, our manufacturing process is emissions free. We're a carbon negative company. And I think we're the only charcoal company that can say that. And the product itself, the charcoal and the logs, will outperform conventional lump or a conventional piece of wood. So it's a win-win from our standpoint.
Yeah, let me back. So I want to retrace some of the steps. One of the things you said, your proprietary equipment. Does that mean you guys invented equipment or worked with someone to create equipment that only you have and can use to compress and dry the wood into your specs?
Yeah, the process is patented. We have a utility patent on the process on the product because the temperatures, the compression rate, the way that we carbonize the product afterwards, this is all very, very different. Most of the charcoal that you would buy in the U.S. comes from other countries because there's only 3 states that I know of. As far as I know, there's only 3 states in the U.S. where you can legally manufacture charcoal the traditional way because of the pollution that's associated with the process. And the wood, I mean, there's so much sawdust that is now waste. It used to have a lot of uses when the paper industry was at its peak. Now a lot of things are digital. There's not much use for paper like there used to, and the mills actually have to invest money to responsibly dispose of that sawdust. So right now, it's costing them money. We're establishing our first manufacturing facility here in the U.S., and we're working very closely with the USDA because for them, we offer a solution to two issues. It's one, instead of having the mills dispose of this and paying for it, we're actually purchase it from them and create profit.
That sounds like a win-win for them.
Exactly, because it will lower the cost of wood for whoever is purchasing from them. The loggers also, when the USDA authorizes loggers to go in and harvest wood from a specific region, then they can't just take the good oak or that specific species. The Forest Services have to maintain the ecosystem within that forest. So there are what you call low equity woods that are great hardwoods that just don't have a market, or there are oaks that grow crooked and the trunk is not straight and the mill can't process it. All these woods turn into waste. The loggers have to take them out. The mills either have to buy them or pay for them because the loggers still did work getting them out. And when we came in and said, hey, we'll buy all the sawdust, we'll take all those low equity woods, we'll support American mills and American loggers and the USDA by taking all that and upcycling it to a product that actually performs better, and nobody actually needs to harvest wood for the purpose of charcoal manufacturing or for wood log manufacturing. We can upcycle all that into a product and just win-win for American companies, win-win for the USDA, win-win for the environment. It's just a win-win all around.
So going back to the functionality of these logs, and so they're denser, they're going to burn slower, they're going to be being denser. They're probably like a small log is going to feel a lot heavier than a traditional log would because it doesn't have all that air and everything. So how much slower does it burn? How much more efficient is one of your logs or some of your lump charcoal than the existing versions that we know of?
Well, to differentiate the two products, the lump charcoal actually burns for a good 6 hours before it starts to lose temp. Because of the density and the high carbon content of the product, it also burns hotter, so you don't need as much. So if, for example, you're used to filling up your grill with 30 pounds of charcoal and you have to replenish that every 2 hours or so, you could probably get away with 15 to 20 pounds of Prime-6, and you won't have to replenish that for the next 6 to 7 hours. So in terms of functionality in the charcoal space, it's a huge difference. And it's also very impactful on the wood log. If we take the pizza oven as an example, not only will the log burn over twice as long, it will also create more BTUs, more heat per log, so you don't need as much product. But I think if you're talking about cooking a pizza in an oven with the logs, the biggest thing that we have found that chefs like about the product is the transparency and the consistency. So when you operate a pizza oven and you have a pile of wood, and each piece is different in density and size and humidity, you're kind of guesstimating throughout the process. You're eyeballing your oven and your wood, and you're going to add this much amount of wood every so-and-so, and it's not a very consistent. You're just playing catch, trying to keep that temperature.
And the oven person, it has to be on top of all of that. They have to be trained to know what to look for.
Exactly. With Prime-6, we offer an extremely consistent product. So once you play around with the product and you figure that you need one log every X amount of time, you will always need one log per that time unit. So what does that do for your operation?
Yeah.
First of all, training. You have somebody manning your pizza oven. It's a very simple training process. You just tell the person you add one log every 16 minutes, and that will maintain your oven at 650 all the time. And you won't have drops or peaks because you won't have the spark up or the flare ups. You won't have a drop because of high humidity in the product. It will be extremely consistent. And that the same thing applies for your food cost. So when you're buying wood, you're buying it by the cord. That's a volume unit of measure.
Yeah.
You don't know how much pounds you're going through in the cooking process. You just know that you go through a cord every 2 weeks or a week and a half, depending on what you got.
Is there a way to convert the number of pounds of your logs into the equivalency of a cord of wood? How many pounds do I need to equal a cord of wood?
It really depends on how you use the product, and that's, we've worked with pizza places that want the oven at 650.
Yeah.
And they use a certain amount, and we have places that try to reach 1,000 degrees. I just saw that at the pizza festival in Coney Island last week, where they were trying to reach 1,000 degrees. So it depends, but it will always be less than the amount of wood that you're buying. We don't sell by the cord. You can purchase a 22-pound box.
So you sell it by the pound.
And there's 9 logs, and that's it. And you don't have to commit to a full log. You don't have to store a full log. If you work with the food service distributor, you can get as many boxes as you want every day.
But if I'm doing the math in my head, those 9 logs are probably going to be equal to 18 or more logs as we conventionally and traditionally know them.
Depending on the size of the logs. If you take your cord of wood and you weigh the poundage, you will see that in terms of volume, it's usually going to take up less than half the space.
Yeah.
Because of the density of the product.
And they stack probably real easy too.
Yeah, it's a box. It stacks. You can have a little. I have seen restaurants have little towers of Prime-6 product, be it the charcoal or be it the logs, or both boxed because they're meant for food service. But I thought the chefs would be excited about that, about the efficiency in cost and storage and functionality. It was actually the ability to calculate food cost, where you're not. All food cost is calculated by weights.
Yeah.
How much dough you're using, how many pounds of tomato sauce, how many pounds of onion, how many pounds of everything you're putting into the recipe. Now you can just add to that how many pounds of wood, Prime-6 wood logs, you are using per shift.
Yeah.
Versus divided by how many pizzas you're dishing out per service, and that's your food cost for that service for wood.
So have any of the pizzerias that are using your product gotten back to you with like how after they've done the calculations, what that means for them? Have they been able to factor that in, and what's the takeaway?
The person who did the case study for us, which we will be forever grateful to work with somebody of that caliber to test the product. These are usually people that I would approach with a case study and try to convince them to try my product. So Dan from Razza.
Dan Richer from Razza Pizzeria in New Jersey. Yeah. So you basically went to the top of the pyramid, got one of the right now the hottest pizza maker in the world practically.
Well, after tasting the pizza, I understand why. It was the conversation with him was a life-changing experience to see how somebody approaches. People think about pizza.
Yeah.
They think about pizza. It's dough, it's sauce, and it's cheese.
Yeah.
It was 100% not like that.
How deeply he thinks about it.
It was because I asked him, you keep your oven at this temp. Why don't you just, add the charcoal and the oven will get higher and maybe you can cook faster. He's like, what, are you kidding me? If I do that, then the moisture level in the cheese, the moisture in the sauce, the thickness of the dough, everything. I was blown away with the depth of how much goes into the mind of a master that does pizza in that way. I just shut up. I was like, I'm here to learn and watch. I'm not even going to suggest anything. My knowledge is really zero.
So is he using Prime-6 now at the pizzeria?
Yeah, he did the comparison, and he's been, we value everything that we've done with him. And I was when we were looking forward for the results, because he has 2 ovens in the pizzeria. He ran I think about a week, one-sided Prime-6, one side just traditional wood.
Yeah.
And the thing that he came back was really the training, the consistency, and the food cost. I was hoping to hear about sustainability, performance. It's always good, and it became a bonus though. After hearing his review of the product, the consistency, the capability for him to maintain the temperature and have a reliable product that will offer the exact same utility in terms of functionality in the oven every single day.
Yeah.
That was the biggest takeaway from him, and that's basically what we based our sales pitch today to other pizza operators is everything that we've learned from Dan of him playing around with our product.
Yeah, well, and that's huge to have somebody of his credibility using it, that you can say, like you said, I don't need to. I don't have to try to convince you of all these facts because he's already done the work and he's proven to work and he's using it.
Yeah, I mean, my background is food service. So when we were starting off with our charcoal product, I've worked grills a good portion of my life. It was very easy for me to explain what the benefits are of using Prime-6 charcoal. I've never worked in a pizzeria. I love eating pizza.
Yeah.
I've made it, at home with my kids, but viewing the product through the mind of somebody like Dan is we would have never gotten to that point of understanding our product as well as he understood the product.
Well, let me put my Mr. Wonderful hat on for a second and pretend to be him and ask the question that he typically asks is, okay, it all sounds really good on paper, but give me the bottom line. What does it cost me compared to other wood? What's my cost for this product? And number one, and how is that going to translate for you? What are you going to be able to make on these logs? But also, then what did he do? Because since he came in, Kevin O'Leary came in as an investor, and I don't remember. I don't remember the number he came in at, but he came in at your ask. You asked for the usual equity stake.
Yeah, we came in. We knew he was gonna. We knew he was gonna negotiate the percentage up, but it was 100% worth it. We love working with Kevin.
Yeah,
we love his approach.
What did he, as your shark, what was he able to do for the company?
Well, the way that Kevin works with us, I don't know the rest of the Shark Tank companies, but I'm guessing it's the same approach. Is Kevin's it's the big guns.
Yeah.
So he basically said, it's your company, you guys run it. This is, I can do basically anything you need me to do. You let me know what you need, and I will get it done. And it's, when you're from a retail aspect, for example, when you're trying to get those big name buyers, the big box stores, trying to get their attention. When you're a small company, and we're still a family-owned business.
Yeah, but at the time you were even more unknown.
we were nobody. We were a husband and wife
you were
team.
A startup. Yeah,
exactly. We were trying to get in front of all these buyers, and you can find out the buyer's name, and you can find out their contact information. At the end of the day, you email them or you call them, and you try to get their attention. And sometimes it's hard. We were chasing one of the bigger names here in the U.S., and we were not getting any replies. For 6 months, we're chasing these guys, and eventually we reach out to Kevin and say, "Hey, Kevin, we have the email of the buyer. We're just not getting a response. Can you help us out?" Like, sure, no problem. Send me the email, and he emails the buyer, but he also CCs everybody he knows at that organization.
Yeah, higher up the food chain.
100%. Within 6 minutes, we get a reply. We were on a call presenting the next week, and not only that, Kevin actually gets on the call with you.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it was he didn't, introduce the product. He didn't introduce the company. He let us pitch the product and what it does. He just, really demonstrates how much he's got your back.
Yeah.
Saying, I support this company. It's a woman-owned business. They have my support 100% whenever.
And when you
they
say
need.
A woman-owned business, because your wife is the owner.
My wife is the founder and owner. Like, when people ask me what I do for a living, the easiest reply I have is I work for my wife.
I work for my wife. Yeah.
And if I'm talking to a man, the common response is, well, don't we all? And so
true.
yeah. So my Ricky, my wife, my partner in life and business and everything, basically, is the founder and the majority stakeholder. And so, and Kevin's been, very supportive of that as well. So when you go into a conversation with a buyer, when we do even the food service vendor shows that we participate, when we have a reel, because a lot of the venues don't allow us to light the charcoal.
Oh.
Or the logs, which is not.
Well, then you must love the pizza show because there's a lot of fire going on here.
And it's not fair because, not all charcoals are created equal.
Yeah.
People think about charcoal, they think about dirt and a lot of charcoal dust and smoke and flame and just a fire hazard and a mess. And our product is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
So when we do barbecue events, people actually have to come up close and put their hand above the product to realize that it's on, that it's burning, because it is so smokeless, it's so flameless. It's just heat.
It's heat.
It's perfectly safe, even in a venue like this. But we can. So we have a reel that shows all the chefs that use us, all the restaurant that use us, and we've been so fortunate to work with some of the leading chefs with both the charcoal and the wood logs. But part of the reel is also Shark Tank, because it says a lot to have the vote of confidence from industry leaders in food service, but also from somebody like Kevin.
Well, a show like that confers a lot of credibility to the company, to the product, to you. Because he's investing in you. Very often, the sharks will even say that the product is great, but the reason I'm choosing to invest is because I like you guys.
And for I mean, I think that's part of it. You see the show, the negotiation. You see 8-10 minutes of what could be sometimes over an hour that you spend there, doing the pitch. The thing is 100% real. They ask you every single thing, every single detail about how much does it cost you to make, what are your margins, what are your marketing plans, what's your strategy. They go in deep like any other investor. Once the cameras start rolling, everybody forgets that the cameras are there.
Yeah,
it is you in front of 4 or 5 of the biggest investors.
You're in the pressure cooker with them,
and they're all coming at you. So if you can handle that, and your numbers, your product, your pitch, everything, and you get an offer, and we got 2 when we went with Kevin. When that thing, that cycle completes, we take it as a compliment. Having Kevin's confidence in the company. And we have a lot of big things coming up now, and it's a lot of it is due to the support, and the relationships that Kevin has. It's just
what did it feel like when you realized, oh my God, we just got a deal on Shark Tank? What
was surreal.
What was that feeling like?
It was surreal. It was we're walking out of that experience, and we're talking to each other like, what just happened? Did we just get Kevin O'Leary to invest in our company? Did you just on Shark Tank? We were just in front of millions of people at home watching. It is really, both my wife and I, we're both immigrants. I came here because I wanted to go to culinary school in the U.S. Ricky came here. She has a background in finance, and she thought her dream was to work in corporate America. When you work in finance, New York is corporate America. That's the the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And we knew we came here because we wanted a better life, bigger opportunities. Never did we think when we moved here, 15 years ago, that this is where we'd be. At the end of the day, we're hauling charcoal. It's not Well,
and before we run out of time, I do want to ask, how did you come up with this idea? This is a revolutionary idea. It's a game-changing idea, which is, I think, why the Sharks got excited about it. Selling the idea to everybody is now your job is to tell them why it's a life-changing idea. But how did you come up with it initially, or how did Ricky?
There were similar products, most of them binder based, and we thought, and they do perform well. But I think we saw the opportunity to tie everything together. There is a way to manufacture almost everything that you can get today in a more sustainable way. You have to commit to it, and you have to care about. My background is food service. The performance, the usability, the game changer for the chef. I saw that immediately. The market, the opportunity, it has to make sense financially, which is more what Ricky saw. I think it all just came together to seeing a similar product, understanding that we can make it more sustainable, seeing that there are manufacturing opportunities to make it better, the partnership with planting a tree, the finance behind it was all just, I like to call it the perfect storm for us.
Yeah.
That peaked with getting Kevin on board.
But the idea itself, usually when you start a business, because you see a need and you fill the need. So is that? How did the idea of getting into charcoal and wood from someone who was just finance and food service? Why wood?
We're also Middle Eastern, so grilling is that's what we grew up cooking on.
Yeah.
Barbecue and grilling back home is extremely common. Grilling professionally as part of my work was part of it as well. I think the aha moment
That's what I wanted
was when we had reached out to a co-packer for the first, I would say, MVP version of it, saying, can you do this? Can you do that? And without getting into too much detail of the manufacturing process, the extrusion process is basically a big meat grinder. You know, the carbonization process of cooking it is almost like overcooking a very good piece of filet.
Yeah.
And so it's the similarities from food service to the way we manufacture it.
Right.
It kind of made sense. And so when we did some trial and error, went back and forth. We got the first sample. We went to some chefs. We saw the response, and we were like, "This is it." And we had small businesses before together that were great, but it wasn't until we got that feedback from the chefs that we realized what we had, and that was kind of what encouraged us to go on Shark Tank and pitch it, is because we were backed by the feedback of people, professionals in the industry that came up and say, "Hey, I love this."
So going back to my original question, how much will the end user, the person who just bought, 100 pounds of the wood or the charcoal from you, are they going to, in the end, save money by buying your product if they use it properly, because they've got to use it differently than the regular wood? Is that one of the selling points?
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard to say wood cost, depending on where you are in the country and which distributor you're getting the product from. Both wood and our product the product will change, very little. It's in the cents mostly between distributors because it's a unified price for everybody. The cost of wood can change depending on who you're getting it from. But the quality of wood, the moisture level, I think you will find that there's savings. It could be anywhere from cutting down the amount of pounds that you're using with a charcoal, for example. You can cut it down from 20% less. Restaurants who use wood and buy our product and use the charcoal and logs together, we have cut down their wood consumption by 80%, because wood goes so fast and our charcoal stays for so long.
Yeah.
So it depends, but it's a saver in purchasing. It's a saver in efficiency, just the peace of mind that the operator has because the product performs better, the consistency. It saves you in maintenance costs because you're producing less smoke, less ash. So the cost of cleaning your vent goes down. It's just saving all around. It's sustainable. It makes your operation greener by default by using it. We're very generous with samples for food service. If you want to try us out,
try it out.
Just reach out.
So people who are listening who are in the business who were saying, "My God, this could work for me," what should they do?
They can either find us on Instagram, send us a message. We'll take your info. We'll ship you a sample. Go on Prime-6.com.
Prime-6, Prime with the number 6 or spelled S-I-X?
Prime dash. You Google the Prime-6 and Indian Constellation, you'll get to our website anyway, but it's Prime-6 spelled out, SIX.com. And there is a food service tab, and there's a big button that says get a free sample.
But there's also a consumer version of this, right? People can buy it at buy it at my local Lowe's.
Yeah, you can get it at Lowe's, you can get it at Walmart, you can get it at Amazon, online, Lowe's and Walmart, and a lot of their brick and mortar stores, and hopefully as time goes by, even more of those stores.
What's the split between food service and sort of home users?
You could never reach a food service consumption level. I mean, even if you're a die-hard griller that grills every weekend, twice every weekend,
gobbles up a lot more.
I mean, with our product, it burns for hours. If you don't want to grill for 8 hours, you can choke off the oxygen, turn off the heat, and you can keep using it the next day. So you'll use 2 boxes a month. A restaurant can do that in a day, easy.
So that's your bigger market, but the main takeaway here is that anyone who's listening who's not in the business can still get it and use it in their backyard grill, in their wood-fired oven, whatever they're doing.
Wood-fired grill. I mean, smokers. We've been approached by people who do smoking at home, and if the charcoal will go 6 hours in a grill, the current record, if you want to try to break it, is 19 and a half hours straight in a smoker from a dear customer in Florida called Meat Militia. And I mean,
It's kind of like winning the video game wars. You know, you got,
exactly. I mean, it's just when he emailed us, and this is somebody who just bought it in Walmart and just had to reach out with a long and very exciting email saying like, I couldn't believe it. I still put my clock to wake me up at 3 a.m. Go check my smoker, still going. 5 a.m. still going. 5 days in a row. I did that to make sure that this is not a glitch, and this is actually what the product does, and it is what it does. And at the end of the day, this is why we love it. I mean, I still do the sales. I mean, we're 5 years into it. We managed to, make it through COVID when food service was down. I still love to go and meet with the chefs and see how they use the product. We learn from the chefs things about our product still every day.
And the company is expanding in this fact that you're going to be at some point you're going to have your own manufacturing facility, right? Is that something?
I'm hoping that by this time next year, everything will be made in the U.S. All the companies that we source the product from will be in the U.S. We want to support
U.S. sawdust,
U.S. sawdust, U.S. oak, U.S. other woods.
But eventually, this could be replicated in other countries where oak is grown or other hardwoods of comparable.
We do sell a little bit in Canada and in Mexico. We're always growing, always trying to expand the business and reach more people. But from the get-go, I mean, we are an American-based company. We are what's considered a minority business. We want to buy sawdust from U.S. mills. We want to support, the USDA. We want to make this. People think that manufacturing abroad is, and people take their manufacturing out of the U.S. to, different countries, some to South America, some to Asia, because they think it saves you cost. One thing that we learned throughout COVID is, cost is not everything. Reliability for us is number one now. I don't want to be relying on importing anything from anywhere where I have everything I need here. I have the sawdust, abundance of it in some areas in the U.S. There is quality people who want to work, who want to do good work in the U.S. Our customers are here. Everybody that we work with is here. It just makes 100% sense to manufacture here and just do everything made in the U.S.
Well, I'm glad that you're here telling us about it today, and because our listeners, I want listeners who don't already know about you to know, but this is to get it on their radar because you're still in the early stages of a company that I think has global implications. It's like I say, game changing. It's a game changing product. And so it's exciting for us to.
Thank you very much.
Not that we're the first, but I feel like we're breaking news, folks. This is keep this on your chart. Keep tracking it and go to Prime-6, Prime-6. Check it out, and if you want to sample or if you want to do contact Franco.
I mean, just reach out to us. I answer most of the messages on Instagram. I did the constant contact with the people who use it. Is still my greatest joy with everything that we do as a company now. It's still the thing I love the most, and so I'm very appreciative of you giving us the opportunity, giving me the opportunity to tell even more people about it and have more chefs and grillers reach out and experience this firsthand.
Well, I'll be as from time to time as we see each other at these various expos. We'll want a progress report, how it's growing, when the plant is in operation, and all the other things. Because you said it used to be Prime-6 charcoal, now it's Prime-6. And there'll be other things coming from Prime-6 in the future. A
lot more things coming. It's going to be a very exciting year. We have a lot of surprises still. And I think by this time next year, it's going to be a completely different company. The impact is going to be even bigger. We will be able to support more, plant more trees, and just, reach more and more people who want to grill responsibly.
That's a really cool thing that you replant for every box or whatever it is that you sell. You're replanting a tree, which is cool. It's got to come full circle, and I love hearing that.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we take the sawdust from the tree, we put a tree back in the ground. This the trees in perpetuity continue to offset the impact that we do, the little impact that we do have. So, like I said, we're all for. I read an amazing book called The 7 Habits of Highly Efficient People. There's a line there that says, win-win or no deal. And we are big believers in the win-win or no deal approach. So, yeah.
Well, that's a great place to end on today because we want everyone to leave here feeling, all right, our goal is win-win. everybody wins in this. And Oren Franco, thank you so much. Best of success as this company grows. We were looking forward to hearing news about it. And I will free you to now walk the floor. We're coming there for those who came in late. We're coming from the Atlantic City Pizza and Pasta and Artisan Baking Expo, and we're talking to people here who are the luminaries in the industry. And and I love getting to meet folks in the early stages. Before we have to get on your appointment calendar. And he can see you in 12 months.
Hopefully, that's never going to happen. Staying connected to the field has brought us to where we are today. I really wouldn't want to give that up. So
that's cool.
I'll see you. I will see you here next year then.
Yeah, and maybe in Vegas as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, Franco, thank you so much. Those of you who are listening, remember Prime-6, and join us on the next episode of Pizza Quest. We're going to be talking to some more people here at the expo. So over the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing more interviews from various people in the pizza, pasta, and baking industry, and also the people that are kind of firing the flames for those folks. So see you again. Thanks for joining us on Pizza Quest.
Pizza Quest is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.